is up, everybody, and welcome to the Forever Green Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Seamus Zarlingo, and alongside of me today, Mr. Nick Franco. Franco, how you doing today?
I finally got an hour off.
To, of course, record the 2026 World Cup Final Preview for Forever Green Sports. Of course, Argentina versus Spain coming our way on Sunday at 2 o'clock Central, 3 p.m. Eastern. Argentina versus Spain for the ultimate trophy, that maybe the most coveted trophy in the entire world, a trophy that only comes
That
around
or
every 4 years, will be handed
Actually,
out this Sunday to one of these two teams on the bottom of the screen, Argentina or Spain. But Franco, I think you can hear my excitement for this matchup, but where's your excitement level right now for this World Cup final?
it's hard to keep up. I'm keeping up with it as much as I can. I unfortunately missed the live watching of the Argentina match, was able to watch a recap of it. But that semifinal comeback by Argentina was amazing. And I was a little bit disappointed by what we saw from France in the semifinal, allowing Spain to move on to this final. But want to know what? On Sunday, it's going to be a good day. We're going to have a great setup in out where are we going to be? I think we'll
We're going
have
to
to
be in
find
New
it.
Jersey. Out of all the places in which we could have held this World Cup final, which MetLife Stadium is,
Well,
like the
New
capacity
York,
of MetLife Stadium,
New
a
York
lot of seats to
Stadium.
be sold there, right next to New York City. But out of all the places in America this World Cup final could have been held, it's in the state of New Jersey. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Like people complain about past venues, future venues. Well, how about this, folks? The World Cup final on Sunday is in New Jersey. And speaking of that final on
We
Sunday,
should have done
technically,
SoFi.
what?
I would have done SoFi. If I'm in the United
West
States,
Coast. That would have been harder. I will say that would have been harder for the European viewers and all the viewers across the globe, because that would have been a harder time zone
mm,
needle to thread, if that makes sense,
the
right?
East
Because
Coast
the
needs a
time shift would have been
modernized
even
stadium.
greater.
That's
But
all the East Coast needs is a modernized stadium. Really, if you look at the stadiums down the East Coast, it's nothing really too state of the art.
I would say, just getting into this conversation before we do look into the tactical craziness of this game, looking at the stadiums this World Cup's been held in, specifically in the United States, it really does bring awareness to how great the stadiums are across America. MetLife isn't like one of those, whoa, pristine, this is one of the best stadiums in terms of aesthetics, because let's face it, it just looks like a rounded block, basically, when you look at it from an aerial shot, or just when you're actually looking at the stadium from a field perspective, it just kind of looks like a block. There are a lot of seats in that stadium, a lot of parking outside of the stadium. And then I think of other stadiums too outside. You
So
mentioned
that looked
SoFi out
great.
there. Seattle, it's been a great host venue. Miami just recently renovated. Houston, new stadium, relatively new stadium down there in Houston. And go even further, I'm thinking, where else? San Francisco, Levi Stadium, relatively new there. So the stadiums across the country really brings awareness to the kind of elitism of American stadiums, because people are concerned about America hosting this World Cup. But look at the stadiums, folks. It's like we're holding games every week on Sunday in the fall at all these stadiums. You see different soccer events throughout time. It's just I don't understand why people thought America couldn't host a World Cup. Clearly, from what we've seen,
And it's
America just fine as hosts.
clearing path for the Olympics.
20 do we have the Olympics what year? 2030
28, if I'm
or
not mistaken.
28? Oh, 28, that's right.
Or would
2030
it
is the
be?
next World Cup.
Yeah.
But
Um,
but
yeah.
wow. I mean, 28, is that only in Los Angeles though?
No, I think they're
Or is
you.
that across America?
I think they would be using across America if
Okay. Okay. I'm not. I'm not aware of what we got on the 2028 calendar, because for the 2026 calendar, still have one of the premier events in front of us, the World Cup final on Sunday between Argentina and Spain. But Franco, looking at this matchup on Sunday, who do you have winning in this scenario?
Well, you know how I am. I'm a producer. I like production and I like marquee matchups. And this is one of the best matchups you can create. The one of the greatest powerhouse country, actually two of the greatest powerhouse countries in the sport over the past couple of years, facing off both with the dynasties in jeopardy of one will continue on with a great destiny and will continue to build their legacy growing moving forward. But you look at Spain, a team that was highly regarded heading into this tournament and was heavily favored heading into this tournament. However, there was a few doubters and probably a good amount of doubt because there were a lot of people that would be leaving them out for teams like France that they were able to surpass, and also Brazil and a few other. England was another team that was held above Spain in the rankings. But looking at what Spain has put together is just a very technically sound foundation of a franchise, or not a franchise, but a country moving of a team moving forward. But if you
It's
look over
American
at,
speak out here.
yes,
Sometimes our terms are a little off. It's like calling runs in baseball points. You're like, whoa, wait a
right,
minute. Whoa, whoa, whoa. It's like a soccer program,
organization,
franchise, yeah, organization, institution. And they're all interchangeable at the end of the day.
yes, all all similes. But I think that we look at the Argentina side. That is, wait, before I got on here, I am looking at Argentina from an American. I have been trying to correlate American sports to this FIFA World Cup so I can have a better grasp of what's going on. It's like when you look into a comment section of like a, I don't know, MLB or NFL post, and someone will be like, put it in NBA terms. But looking at Argentina and what they have going for them, heading in with consecutive wins in a row, Copa America Cup, and would be the first team to accomplish said feat, would be a great testament to Messi's career. And I look at that and I compare it to none other than the New England Patriots during the final stretch of Tom Brady's career from 2014 to 2018. Tom Brady and the New England Patriots at that time already solidified themselves as great players and a great franchise, already securing 3 wins. People were saying that the Patriots could have packed it up after that devastating loss to the Chiefs in Week 3, and they after that they went on to win 3 more championships and have just elevated the greatness of said legacy. And you look at Lionel Messi, he is almost mirroring what is happened back for the Patriots almost a decade ago. It was a run that people weren't really a big fan of. People weren't a fan of the tactics that were used. But want to know what always happened as well was the Patriots, and just like Argentina throughout this World Cup, would always look like that they were out and would be pulling off comebacks without really any regard. And when you get to the final minute, when you're watching one of these Argentina games, you almost have that same feeling as Tom Brady being on the field with 3 minutes left in the game and the Patriots were down by 4 points. You're like, oh, okay. And then the ball starts creeping closer to the goal, and you already know what it's setting up for, and it has failed to disappoint so far.
And the similarities in that, 2014 to 2018, really 2019 Patriots run with Tom Brady. Messi right now in this spot Argentina could be the first international team ever to win 4 consecutive major tournaments. Teams have won 3 in a row, but never 4 in a row. And Argentina, looking at the list of major tournaments, so they won 2021 Copa America, the 2022 World Cup, 2024 Copa America, and now could be the 2026 World Cup champs. And Messi doing this so late in his career, he's won Copa Americas before, but before 2022, it was all about getting that World Cup. And it's not guaranteed for any of these star soccer players. We've seen plenty of stars in soccer go without World Cups in the past. It's not necessarily what defines greatness as, say, championships in the NBA, but it can bring you to that next level. And Tom Brady from 2014 to 2019, coming into 2014, Tom Brady was already an all-time great, already a 3-time champion with the Patriots, already a back-to-back Super Bowl winner, something that's pretty rare in the NFL itself, in which Argentina could be the first team ever to go back-to-back as World Cup champions here, which would be even crazier of a feat. But Tom Brady was already an all-time great coming into 2014, as was Messi coming into 2021. Yet, from 2021 to now in 2026, Argentina could win 4 consecutive major tournaments as the Patriots, of course, won 3 Super Bowls from 2014 to 2019. That took Tom Brady to a new level of GOAT status, as this World Cup win could take Messi to a new level of GOAT status. I'm excited for this from a legacy standpoint for both teams. Lamine Yamal, 19-year-old, potentially getting his first World Cup, just like Mbappe back in 18, or Messi as a 39-year-old on the other side, potentially playing in his last World Cup game ever. People have to consider this. He could be adding to his resume in a way we've never seen another footballer add to their resume ever in the
Absolutely.
history of soccer, football, whatever you want to call it. Leo Messi would be doing something completely beyond what we've seen. And Argentina, to a greater degree. I know we talk about Leo Messi as the core and the center of Argentina, but let's face it, this Argentine team's some of the familiar faces throughout time who have been able to actually win alongside Messi, and why Messi's been in these positions, because we see other stars out there, say Erling Haaland. It's not guaranteed just because you're such a great player that the rest of your team's going to be great around you to the point where you're in the spot in the World Cup final vying for another chance to hold up that trophy. But in terms of this game, from a tactical perspective, it does favor Spain, unfortunately. For all
Yeah,
the Argentine fans out there, there's a lot of Argentine haters too, but it does
probably
tactically
more out
favor
there.
Spain.
I mean, this is one of those types of ordeals that is both teams are heavily probably hated amongst the others, and it's the worst of evils that people are choosing from it from an international standpoint when it comes to this matchup.
Growing up, I was not a Spain fan because people have maybe heard on past podcasts, I'm an Italian football fan. All right, growing up, Ireland never did anything. The United States never did anything. The Italians, hello, 2006 World Cup champs, 2021 Euro champs, and a long resume behind that. But the Italians always had trouble with the Spanish, and Spain in particular from 2008 to 2012. Spain won 3 major tournaments: 2008 Euros, the 2010 World Cup, the 2012 Euros, and the 2012 Euros. Who did Spain beat in the final? Oh, right, Italy. So Spain in this spot, not the favorite. Okay, just, well, I should say odds market the favorite, but in the perception of fans, maybe not so much the favorite. And same thing with Argentina. This matchup right here, people somehow, some way in the semifinals were rooting for England of the 4 teams. I don't even know how that's possible. Like in the past, England is it's like rooting for the Knicks. It's
I
like,
was
oh, the Knicks are always clowned on, clowned on, clowned on. Same thing with England. I mean, they were running a lot of parallels there. I thought, oh man, this is going to be England and the Knicks. This is going to be both of their summers right here. A lot of parallels, including the amount of clownish activity going on within both programs in the past. Yet, I just somehow, some way, people were rooting for England because Spain, they're boring. They've won in the past. France, they've won. They're kind of this juggernaut of a team, supposedly. Obviously not, as we see now. And then Argentina, who just keeps winning and winning. It's the same. It's the same ordeal for all three teams. They just keep winning and winning and winning. England, it's like, can they finally break through? Can they finally take the trophy home, please? And it really does feel like it's like the Knicks. It's like, how are people rooting for this team finally? Like people
Yeah,
turned on Wemby in the finals, started rooting for the Knicks. That's what it felt like in the semifinals, where people started to root for England and Spain. In this matchup, Spain as the team they are, they're a little boring, but they're really good.
yeah. I think that it's almost a what's the word I'm looking for? Attritional warfare that is going to go into it. Spain, a lot more calculated, a lot more conservative, but as I said, Argentina is one of those teams that capitalizes on opportunities. If Argent or Spain gives the Argentinians a inch, they're going to take a mile with this game, and really, it's gonna if it's a close game or I would say if Spain wants to control the pace of this game, that's a dangerous game that they're playing. They should be aiming for an aggressive start and also just being on cruise control after that, because I believe if they are able to get out to a 2-0 lead heading into half, they'll be able to hold cruise control and it becomes a lot less of a threat for Argentina to come back. But if Argentina is able to fluster them and also play a more physical game than Spain is, and also is able to capitalize and set up opportunities, get the ball, tilt the ball onto the other side of the field, and really control the not really even control the possession game, but control the opportunities and shots on net, Argentina had a very strong chance in this one.
Well, from from the tactical perspective of this game, this could be a very dangerous game for Spain. And last game could have been a dangerous game for Spain as well, facing all of the talent on especially the French's front line as they're facing. But what I saw last game, what changed the complexity of that game was the mistake by France committing that foul inside the box and allowing Spain a penalty early in that game. Because the minute Spain goes to the penalty box and scores that goal, they're basically on cruise control for the rest of that game. There's less of a sense of pressure on Spain. They can just pass the ball around. They own the possession for the game. That was part of the problem for the French, is the French were primarily leaning on when they get possession, when they're attacking forward, they're going to have more space for their attackers, like a Mbappe, like a Barcola, to go out and score in that scenario. But there are going to be less opportunities, similar to this potential Argentina Spain matchup here. But in the semifinals, once France committed that foul inside the box and gave Spain that penalty kick, and of course, Spain capitalized on that penalty kick, the entire complexity of the game changed because at that point, Spain could just dribble the ball, pass it around, pass it around. The French having trouble actually finding possession. At that point in time, Spain, they were playing the style of ball they wanted to play for the rest of the game without needing to be too aggressive in certain spots. And even the moments in which they were aggressive, they capitalized once more than France did. And of course, won that game 2-0. And I said coming into that, France was the better team. But seeing what happened in that game, you have to give Spain their credit. You have to give Spain the credit for, I mean, look, 2-0 against France, that's no light work. I said coming into
Right.
that game, look at the multiple hiccups. There are multiple hiccups on Spain's road to the semifinal at that point in time, and now the final, of course. But you have the 0-0 Cape Verde tie. This is a little weird for Spain. They don't score a goal there, and you're questioning for the rest of the tournament, are they going to have enough firepower to go against some of the best teams? And then you move down, they win late against Portugal, they win late against Belgium, and those are two teams that people are already questioning and think, well, Spain should kind of run past these teams. And yet, It looked like both of those games were going into extra time late before Spain saves it, and then they go and beat France 2-0 in that spot. But coming into that game, there were some hiccups. Portugal, Belgium, Cape Verde didn't always look the best for Spain. Looked a little bit too conservative, and that conservatism,
Conservatism.
conservative. It's hard with the front tooth, folks. But the almost complacency at times for Spain to sit back, dribble around, pass the ball as methodically as they do, some of that complacency led to questions of, can this team score enough goals as time moves on? Because some of the games, I mean, we were going, is this going to extra time? Are they even going to score? I mean, that's essentially how they lost to Morocco back in 2022. And they come into the France game, and it's much of the same, but they're awarded a penalty. And then the entire complexity of the game changes because France awarded Spain that penalty to the point where Spain takes advantage of that mistake. At that point, it's like all we need to do is just do exactly what we do best and not add any extra pressure on ourselves. And that's what's going to be big about Argentina, is not allowing Spain to score early, because as the game moves on, more and more pressure will mount on Spain. Because if they're playing a conservative style of ball and it's still 0-0 in the 85th minute, they're going to feel pressure as to, uh-oh, we're not scoring here. We can't score a goal here. And if you're not scoring in 85 minutes, and say Spain has already owned the possession, at that point, what makes anyone think an extra 30 minutes on top of the 90 minutes they're already going to have is going to produce another goal? Now, there are certain moments where you could see England versus Norway, Argentina versus Switzerland. Both of those teams are on the attack going into stoppage time and then, of course, extra time, to the point where they scored in extra time and you felt like they were going to score. But if this game is 0-0 late, Spain's going to feel extra pressure because Argentina, they're a team that knows they can score in those late game scenarios. And unfortunately, we've seen the best ball out of Argentina in the moments in which the pressure is on and they need it most. It's not been every single moment, but when they need to turn up the heat, Argentina's been there and they played some of their best ball, which gives me a little bit of confidence in them that they can keep the score tight, whether it's 0-0, 1-1 late. And then in late game scenarios, you don't want to doubt that team, because we've seen what they've been able to do throughout this tournament, even while in seemingly impossible scenarios. But that's how Argentina is going to try and defeat the they're the favorite in Spain. They're Argentina as underdogs. Looking at them, they're going to be aggressive with their play. And, coming into this game, if it were to be England versus Spain, I think that would have been a pretty boring matchup. Both of those teams
Yeah.
are pretty conservative with the ball. England would have been a little bit more on the attack than, say, Spain, but England wouldn't have owned the possession. So we would have seen less attack out of them. I think we would have seen a boring 1-0, maybe a 2-1 matchup like we saw at the Euro 2024 finals. But I feel as if Argentina adds a little bit more spice. Argentina's a little bit more of a versatile team, and I think when Spain owns the possession in this game, we're going to see counterattacks from Argentina and runs down the field that are going to be exciting. And they're going to be a little bit more dangerous than some of the opportunities we see England come up with or have come up with in this tournament throughout time before they got to that Argentina game, of course. But what I'll say about Argentina, their road up to this point, this is almost a miracle path. And that's what would even add furthermore to the legacy of Leo Messi in this Argentine team, because their group stage, Algeria, Austria, Jordan, just took out all those teams as defending champs. That wasn't even a challenge for Argentina, Algeria, Austria, and Jordan. And then Cape Verde comes back on Argentina twice, forces extra time, and people thought that one was going to penalty kicks. And if any of these matchups go to penalty kicks, I mean, it's basically a coin flip, folks. It's basically a 50-50 matchup at that point. Argentina down 2-0 against Egypt, comes back. They score 3 goals in the span of basically 13 minutes to win that one late. Extra time versus Switzerland, they scored twice in extra time, but that one wasn't easy for them. And then down 1-0 to England late, within the last 10 minutes of the game, basically, they scored two there. And now they're here in the final. Argentina, like if I'm doing the visualization of who should be in this matchup, England and France in the semifinals own the better resume aside from these two teams compared to these two teams. Yet here we are in the final. And yes, you'd say Spain is the more tactically sound team, but Argentina on the other side seems like the team of destiny right now. It seems like nothing's going
So
to stop them. And it feels like no matter what type of pressure they're put under, they can come up with a result. And yes, this could be a boring 2-0 Spain. Same as the French game where you go, Spain scores early, they maintain possession, they score another one late. Argentina never really has time to do anything. They never own the possession, and that's just how it is. But then there's another scenario where this is tight late, it's 0-0, 1-1, and in that scenario you're going, I don't know how much I favor the maneuverability and the possession Spain can actually keep in that moment because in
right.
late game scenarios you're thinking Argentina, they might have more energy. They might have the better subs. They might actually own the possession late in game when Spain tries to tactically change what they do best, which is just methodically passing it around until the right opportunity comes about. If they have to change that tactic late in game, they might not be as optimized, which could lead to a scenario where Argentina is doing it once again. Maybe not in comeback fashion, but in a fashion that people don't necessarily expect, as they're looking more so at the beginning of the game and not what could happen at the end relative to what the beginning brings. But
Yeah. I mean, looking at what you said, looking at this matchup, do you think that the matchup we're gonna see on Saturday or tomorrow, Saturday? Yeah. Do you think the matchup we're gonna see on Saturday is going to be equal, or do you think that the matchup that's happening on Saturday should be happening on Sunday instead?
well, okay. The way both teams played in that semifinal, if we really go back to the semifinal, and you know what impresses me so much about Argentina, and I've been baffling on about it or waffling on about it the whole time, whatever word you want to use, is just Argentina at the end of that England game. It's just a different football team. Same thing with the Switzerland game. Is you feel like throughout most of the game, they're kind of more on the back foot. They're more defending, kicking opportunities away, fending off opportunities. Yet late in these games, it's like Argentina, they possess the ball, and when they possess the ball, it's beautiful football to watch because they're so aggressive in what they do. They're not afraid to make certain passes. They're not afraid to take certain shots. And yes, that can get them in trouble sometimes when say you're playing a team like Spain. That's what worries me a little bit about Argentina in this spot is say they're ultra aggressive and they're just throwing away possessions by taking these crazy shots and making these risky passes and you're just continuously giving the ball back to Spain and you're not seeing it again. That's when Argentina could be in trouble, especially if they give up a goal early. But in terms of potentially playing a close game late, Argentina with the ball, it can be some beautiful football. And we've seen this throughout the tournament so far against multiple teams. I thought against Egypt, of course. I mean, Egypt, they were down 2-0. They're at a point of desperation. Against Switzerland, they're in extra time. They don't want to go to PKs against Switzerland, who just won in penalty kicks against Colombia the game before. And then against England, they're down 1-0. It felt like England was well on their way to the World Cup final. Like that is not talked about enough in this is how devastating of a loss England actually took in that circumstance. Because outside of being the tournament favorites one day, which England very much could be somewhere in the future, outside of being the tournament favorites, this was England's best chance to win a World Cup since 1966. It was. They were. I mean, you look at they were in the last four teams. They were in the final four. They were in the semifinals. They're one of the last four teams. They had owned the third best odds. And I was saying, look, coming into the semifinals, they own the third best odds, but they're playing the fourth best odds in Argentina first. And then in that second game, in the final, you could be playing the second best odds holder in Spain instead of France. Because if that game is a coin flip, in which, let's give credit to Spain, they might actually be better than France. Like in terms of the rankings of where you'd put these teams now, look at Spain and France, their last two major tournament matchups. Both 2-1 in favor of Spain at the Euros, and then 2-0 in favor of Spain here. So it got even better for Spain at the World Cup against France, at least. But England, only opportunity. It's all about opportunity of path, right? Only opportunity to play the fourth best odds and then the second. Yet they lose to Argentina basically with 10 minutes left. And it's not even just 10 minutes left. That game's tied at that point. It's 1-1. And they allow another goal in stoppage time because Argentina had pushed the throttle to that point. They're possessing the ball and just the chemistry of the team. I think that's what was displayed in the Argentina England game is how much team chemistry, cohesion, resiliency, and fight Argentina has as a ball club. And look at them. They've won 3 major tournaments in a row. Why wouldn't they own the confidence in that spot, even down 1-0 late, that they can come back and win, especially if they're creating the opportunities for themselves on the pitch? I mean, England, to be in this third place matchup, I mean, it just feels like they got shot in the gut. That's what it
Yeah.
just feels like, because that was seriously the best opportunity for England to win the World Cup since 1966 when they actually won it. So many years ago, 60 years ago now. England could have won the World Cup without playing France. And yes, they would have maybe had to play Spain in this spot. But at the same time, they played Spain in the Euro final 2 years ago, and that was kind of a toss up. And you'd say when you've already played somebody at a major tournament and you lost, there's more motivation that second time around to do things in a better way tactically, to the point, and strategically, to the point where you might actually have a better chance this time around. And England, yes, they faced France 4 years ago in the World Cup. I believe it was the quarterfinals at the time. I always get the quarterfinals, semifinals. We always get these wrong. But
Yeah.
regardless, England, I feel as if they would have owned a better chance against Spain opposed to France. I thought France owned a little more skill. Although what I'll say about the France-Spain matchup real quick, it's almost like Spain is a well-oiled machine with all of these parts that fit together in exactly the way you'd want them to fit, versus France was this hodgepodge of star names that didn't always make sense together on field, and you'd see the substitutions like this great players coming out for another great player when you'd rather have these players complement each other like Spain's players do at the end of the day. But I'll just say that. But in terms of the third place matchup on Saturday, maybe one of the more sad games, although I don't see how England wins.
Yeah. I
Unless
mean,
France like really doesn't care.
if
Where they're just
England
like,
wins
we
this,
played in 2 straight World Cup finals. We do not care about this third place game. Although I don't know why England would care.
but would
They're
England
devastated.
would England feel accomplished with a third place win right now? I feel like that if they're able to beat France in this might be something that they can hold their heads up a little bit higher about. But I do see France walking away with this easily. But I honestly think if they are able to upset France in this third place matchup, I think that's something that England should feel more accomplished for, because looking at the talent, obviously there's a reason why they haven't won since 1966. I mean, there's been a pool of talent coming through, but nothing that has been well orchestrated to the fullest capability, and nothing that has been able to withhold and create a legacy, or but looking at France, I think that if unless they walk into the game with disregard to it, I think they should confidently walk away with a win.
I believe the last third place game was between Morocco and Croatia at the 2022 World Cup. So I think the third place game, what makes the third place games fun would be two teams who don't exactly expect to be there in the first place, like Croatia and Morocco, right? Versus now, I feel like you have two teams who are really, really chomping at the bit to go and hold up that gold trophy.
But now they have to
France,
hold up a bronze one.
it's like France was the outright favorite for the tournament, and then England, you're looking at them, and for England's purposes, like again, they maybe this was their best chance. Yeah, when these chances come around, like England could be the favorite in 2030. Who knows? That could be a scenario. But there's also a scenario where they're knocked down in the quarterfinals. Like
Yeah,
it's not easy to get to this point, and right now, like England, they have to be devastated, especially the way in which they lost. The way in which they lost, they were up 1-0 in that game, and they owned possession earlier on in that game before Argentina just took off to a new level. And that's what I kind of wondered too about this matchup is, down below here, the final specifically. Both of these teams at their best, I feel as if they are actually potentially the two best teams in this tournament. Now, beforehand, you'd say, okay, yes, this is the second and fourth best teams, but in terms of the best football we have seen at the tournament, it's like who looks the best when the moment when they need to look the best. These two teams, like other teams, England, they were closing out that game against Argentina, and yet it was Argentina again and again and again knocking on the door. And you'd even say same thing with the Mexico game and even Norway at times. I think England versus Norway arguably played a better game. And then, against Mexico, they had 10 men, so you could say that, but Mexico, a million opportunities at the end of that game. Again, 10 men, I understand. And then Spain on the other side, late in these games, say for example against Portugal or even against Belgium, like there's not really much confidence in Portugal, Belgium. The France game, I mean, France just people say they didn't show up. It's like they could never take the ball from Spain. And they made one mistake early on in that game, and it affected the rest of the game for France because then they were pushing, pushing, pushing. And against Spain, it's like Spain didn't need to push. If France takes a 1-0 lead in that game, Spain's all of a sudden, they're all out of whack of what they want to do. Versus Spain takes that 1-0 lead, Spain can sit back in their seat and do exactly what they wanted to do that entire game until they scored another goal when France at that point they're more desperate. There's going to be more space on the field for Spain to score eventually because France is consistently pushing up, which is leaving less guys back. And then that's when you saw that second goal late in the game. But I do see like Argentina and Spain when the moment got hot throughout this tournament. That's what I have to give teams credit for is like coming into this matchup, I'm trying to compartmentalize these teams. There are some hiccups on their resume or on their resumes rather. There are some hiccups on both of these teams' resumes. Yet, you really look at it, the resiliency throughout every single game to be in the spot they're both in right now, absolutely incredible. And you have to give them credit as the only teams who really showed up when the moments mattered. And what's crazy about Argentina and Spain, too, is what I'll point out. Both teams couldn't beat Cape Verde in 90 minutes. Neither team, which is absolutely spectacular for the Cape Verdeans going to the World Cup, making the round of 32, and somehow not losing to either of the World Cup finalists, playing both of them. What a great moment for Cape Verde. But looking at the third place game specifically, what's rare about the third place game at the World Cup is this is really one of those
Well,
situations in
Olympics
sports you
too.
don't see anywhere else. You don't see a
Olympics,
third place match really anywhere else outside of maybe the Olympics, right? The
Olympics.
Olympics, the
What
only thing
else?
I can think of right now.
Like figure skating, other sports like that, but usually that is in a thing that is multiple people competing against each other at once. And it's like a race or something like that. But I mean, looking at that idea, I was thinking about it yesterday. What would happen if we introduced that in American sports? Like, imagine if, like, in the NFL, we had the Broncos and the Seahawks face off the week before the Super Bowl in a bronze Lombardi game.
Well, that would be better than the Pro Bowl, I feel. I feel like that'd be I feel like that'd be less viable but more entertaining, which is sometimes the weird impasse with some of these situations where it's less viable as an actual event for the teams and everybody involved, but actually more entertaining for all the fans out there and could drive a bigger source of revenue. Who knows? But you sent the list of what the third place matchups would look like, and I question in the NBA what would that actually entail? Would it be a
It would have
seven
to be
game
one game.
series? Would it be
It would have
one
to.
game?
I would have to do. It would have to be a one game or
NBA Cup game scenario, kind of like that.
one game or maybe a 3 game series if you're feeling crazy. No,
I just NBA players would never want this. Just saying
right.
right now, like that. No, I don't feel as if
Eh,
any of the players would
what
actually
if you
want this.
attached a half
But
million
then
to it?
again, if there's money on the line for one of these games, and that's what I also feel is important is what's culturally accepted from the standpoint of trophies. Because right now, say for example, the Larry O'Brien trophy is the holy grail in the NBA. The NBA Cup's like whatever. The Knicks won the NBA Cup earlier in the year. It's like, all right, go out and win the real thing. And the Knicks went, okay, we will. And they finally received their respect. But the NBA Cup is nothing
Hey,
right
that
now.
might add some viability to the NBA Cup as well.
Well,
The
that's
Knicks winning the championship this year.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, once that came into the once that came into the scope of my brain, going, "Whoa, wait, they're the first team to do the." I said, we gotta fit another tournament in there somewhere and create the triple crown. Right now, we have the double crown, we have the NBA Cup and the NBA title, which unfortunately, the Knicks are the first double crown winner,
I
folks.
would
I
say
mean,
the
it's
triple crown would be in the NBA if you have the best record because in the NHL they consider that the President's Cup.
okay. So best record, NBA Cup, and NBA championship. So the
Yes, that
Thunder were one game away from doing that in 24-25. They lost the NBA Cup final to the Milwaukee Bucks, but if they won that NBA Cup final, would have been NBA Cup, best record, and the NBA championship in 2025, although the Thunder, of course, one game shy of that. And the Knicks, on the other hand, not the best record in the regular season, so didn't get that one. But third place scenarios was not the Knicks this year somehow. Well, actually, first, I'll say the NBA Cup over time, it'll start to gain validity as it becomes a thing. That being said, it's still a mid-season trophy, so it will never own you know, the
I
same
think it's
lore
just
as
the
the Larry
placement of
O'Brien.
it. Having it that early on in the season really just I think the real meat of the season that people have to worry about, and this could also help with the tanking scenario, which they already implemented rules with, is adding that NBA Cup at the end of the season because then you have these group standing teams who are no longer competing for a playoff spot, but there could be a chance to win an NBA Cup for them.
Nah, see, this is where I would have to disagree with that from the standpoint of the NBA Cup exists primarily because there's nothing going on in the early portion of the season between November and December. Everybody's still paying attention to football, and most people believe anyway the NBA season starts at Christmas. I'm not a huge believer in that, although the results do show in time teams are closer to what they are at the end of the year after Christmas than say before Christmas. I mean, that's just, well, I mean, that's fairly obvious. But regardless, the NBA Cup as well at the beginning of the year, teams actually care. The Jazz aren't tanking already in November per se, versus we saw in January, February, March, April, those teams were tanking. Now, tanking, just saying, will change next year with the new draft rules, but I do believe players care a little bit more at the beginning of the year with all the newness and the ramp up, even the energy levels. Say after 30 games, I'm sure some players believe they're a lot better than after 80 games. I'm sure a lot of players believe in that. But in that scenario, NBA Cup at the end of the year, I think would be like the pathetic loser tournament at that point. It's
Yeah.
like who really wants to be in that tournament, just as these third place game scenarios that could potentially arise out of this idea we're bringing up here
I
on
don't,
this podcast.
I
But
don't know. Think of a podium. I mean, like, I've always heard the saying that it's much easier to be the third place winner than the second place loser.
I think, okay, see, that's where in this third place match at the World Cup, that's always the interesting scenario is the third place winner feels way better leaving the World Cup than the second place winner. Because the second place winner, or rather, winner,
This,
the first loser, second place walks away from the tournament feeling terrible because they just lost the final. They believed in that scenario they could have been the team who won the final, yet they just lost the final. They're in second. Here's your silver medal. The bronze medal winner, third place, ends the tournament with a win. It's a little feel good, a little boost at the end that makes you forget about the semifinals loss a little bit. That next data point always
yeah,
matters. After the bad data point, you want to put a good data point on the board. And even if it can't be a World Cup trophy or a Larry O'Brien trophy,
you can still go like that.
silver medal.
Right.
Right. And at the end, you're still feeling good off a win. And no, you didn't get what you ultimately wanted, but a win is a win at the end of the day, no matter how it comes, and you're feeling good about it. And say France and England, that's what's important about this game. Is you want to feel good at the end of the World Cup, or do you want to feel just, oh, we lost two
Yeah.
straight games, and actually that second game we're now going to be labeled as a pathetic team who laid down, who didn't care about this. In any competitive scenario, I don't want to be known as a person who didn't care just because of the circumstance. I'm sorry, like as a competitor, I want to play every minute, I want to play every down. And if England or France, there could be guys that feel differently about that with the money that's made in their sports, of course, being at the World Cup, a lot of them, all of them. But looking at the third place matchups that could potentially, could have potentially happened in the last year in American sports, in the NFL, could have the Broncos versus the Rams.
You don't think
In
the Stafford wouldn't feel good about winning that, or even Jared Stidham?
see
If Jared,
in that scenario, I would say Stafford wouldn't have played. See, that's the problem with football is these guys wouldn't have played. There would have been no. I mean, outside of a financial incentive for these guys to play, there would have been no incentive for them to actually go out and play that game. Cavaliers versus Thunder in the NBA. We all thought that could have been the finals in 2025. Didn't happen.
if that
But
was a one-game series, or just a one game for, you don't think one
Cavaliers,
of
like,
the
do we really want one more game of James Harden? That's the problem with these third place scenarios. Like, we're after some of these losers, you're going, we're done with you. We're done. Canadians versus Avalanche. Avalanche, like that would have just been the most slap. Like that would have been a slap in the face to them. So like we're going for the Stanley Cup. Brewers versus Mariners. I think that's the only series. That's the only. That's the only combo on this list. Brewers versus Mariners that I could see legitimately wanting to play for a third place title. Just why not? It's the
yeah.
MLB. It's the MLB. I think most often the playoffs, I had this take back in 2023, the playoffs almost don't matter for teams. Like actually a 100-win regular season, congratulations, we won the division. Great season. Throw your hands up. If we win the World Series, cool, but otherwise, it's It's a roulette wheel. I mean, look at the 23 Orioles. Like, wow, best team ever. They lose to the Rangers, and there goes Adolis Garcia on his way to a World Series title with the Rangers that year when no one thought the Rangers in the middle of the season, like, oh, they're pretty quality. No one actually thought they were going to win the World Series. That's the thing about baseball is, man, it is hard to win a World Series, even if you're the best team in the league. Most often, the best team in the league doesn't win. And so I feel as if baseball, there's a little bit more validity to first, second, third in a way, right? Where it's like, I feel like in baseball already, like people care about the World Series, but I really think your division matters, like more than people want to give credit to. People used to care about winning your division and winning the pennant as well, whether you're in the National League or the American League. Now we have a culture that's so centered on winning the ultimate thing, the World Series. We got to win that thing. And let's face it, that is the most coveted trophy no matter what. But it's not as if winning your division, winning the pennant doesn't matter. Those things very much matter. And that's why I feel as if this third place, third place,
Yeah, keep it
although
out
I
of
will
America.
say both of these teams, like in baseball, say the World Series, they both win the pennant. It's like the third place game series, whatever it is. It's like it is kind of it's a standalone thing. Because at the very least, say you lose the World Series, well, you're the American or National League champions anyway. You're getting a ring anyway for that, which is not what people want, but it is something. It's like third place. Do you get a silver medal, silver ring? Like, what do you actually, the label of it is a little weird in the MLB, I'd say. But it does, I feel like, own some legs maybe in baseball. Just
Yeah,
saying.
possibly.
But soccer, I feel as if soccer, we talked a little bit about this earlier, is third place in soccer, Croatia versus Morocco in 2022. Both of those teams cared about that this year. England versus France. I think I think I'm more interested in this game from the standpoint of who's going to lay down and not care. Who's not going to play? Is Harry Kane only going to play 45 minutes? Is Mbappe even going to play? Like, what is that game actually going to look like? And what's unfortunate about the World Cup, on one hand, you have this valiant and this shiny World Cup final. And then on the other hand, you have this third place dingy matchup over here.
Yeah.
But in terms of the World Cup final is coming our way on Sunday, as hopefully the entire world knows by now. But Argentina will be going for their fourth consecutive tournament win. And what I'll say about Argentina, they're kind of drawing some comparisons to the Golden State Warriors a little bit for me. Like, we're actually talking in NBA terms here of, say, Argentina versus France, or not Argentina versus France. Well, my brain's back in 2022. Argentina versus Spain. Argentina kind of becoming the Warriors. They're beloved by many, but they're also hated by a lot as well. They're starting to become that team that people are just tired of seeing in major tournament finals. And even the way in which they went, a little reminiscent of OKC, I'd say. Because OKC, they were pinpointed as a team that relied a lot on physical, aggressive, defending on ball. And let's face it, on the offensive end of the floor, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander drawing fouls, maybe flopping to make his way to the free throw line. Argentina, I wouldn't say the flopping is a problem with Argentina at all, which is crazy because in soccer, I think soccer collectively flopping, it's an actual tactic of soccer that's used. In the NBA, it's frowned upon. In soccer, okay, this is what's supposed to happen over here. But Argentina, not from a flopping perspective, but from a dirty play perspective, right? Like Lou Dort, right? Everybody, oh, Lou Dort, he's a dirty player, physical defender, blah, blah, blah. Argentina feels like outside of Messi, they have 10 Lou Dorts. That's kind of what it feels like out on the field sometimes. And people look at Argentina and go, we don't like Argentina because they win. And not only that, when they win, they do it in a manner that isn't quite pure football. They're not always purely reliant on football tactics to win a football game. It's more about them beating up another team, playing super physical, playing super aggressive, and sometimes going out of their way to pick up a yellow card. Maybe somebody we haven't seen it. Have we seen it in this tournament? An Argentine red card? I don't believe so. Maybe last tournament for sure. But guys are always straddling the line for Argentina in that respect. And what I'd have to say is they're starting to draw comparisons to teams like the Warriors in the past with moving screens, Argentina pulling guys down, just grabbing guys, giving them random free kicks. Oh, we're fine with you not making a run, or rather, we're fine with taking a foul here and giving up a free kick as long as you don't make this run upfield and beat us upfield with your speed.
And then you
Almost like
also
moving screens of the Warriors and physical defending of the Thunder. Just saying, just saying.
and then you also compared the England to the Knicks, and then so let's round this off. What do we want to compare the France to the Spurs?
So what's crazy is okay, so the other day, we're gonna get into the AI conversation here.
Oh,
So I I had to ask because when I was on Twitter, I'm looking at all of this positive England sentiment and people hating Argentina. That's what I saw on Twitter coming into the semifinals. And I had to ask AI, I went, why is this sentiment the way it is? Because from my perspective over time, people haven't liked England and people have loved Argentina. Yet coming into the semis, everybody it seemed as if, we have to root for England and we can't wait till Argentina's finally knocked out of this tournament. I go, how did this flip? What happened here? And so I asked AI, but AI gave me some NBA comparisons here. And it was between England, Argentina, and Spain at the time. This was after France was knocked out. But Argentina, closer to a Warriors type situation, like I just mentioned. Recent champion, enormous star power, lots of fans, lots of haters. Again, like I just mentioned with Argentina, a lot of parallels with the Warriors there. But England, what I found crazy about England, AI says maybe the early 2020s Celtics. Huge fan base, always in contention, lots of heartbreak. Many neutrals don't mind seeing them finally break through. So that was kind of the Celtics a little bit, where like you do have some neutral following. I like Trailblazers fans, like I don't think they care about the Celtics all that much. The Spurs, like a well-oiled machine, a contender. Although that's not what AI said. That's actually what I said, but that's basically what AI gave out in terms of that. But I did ask again to compare some teams here. Spain, equivalent to 2014 San Antonio, 2023 Denver, Argentina comparable to the 2016 Cavs. I can see that in a way, maybe. But Spain, the team that plays the right way, similar to the 23 Nuggets, the 14 Spurs, Argentina with let's say the Messi factor, right? As the 2016 Cavs had the LeBron factor, as we know. But I do see some parallels in there, and I love when ultimately people kind of cross dissect sports because the NHL too, the NHL and the NBA, the playoffs happen at the same time, and that's always a fun like who's who in what playoff bracket here.
right.
But that's what we can do with the World Cup as
Yeah.
well. But to put it into NBA terms for us, like Argentina, ran by LeBron, like any LeBron led team of the past, right? Quality team, not, say the 21-22 Lakers, but a quality team, more so like the 2016 Cavs. Or you have Spain in this scenario. They're a more well oiled machine. They do things the right way. 2014 Spurs, 2023 Nuggets. Trying to think of another team that you could actually throw in. I'd say like the 2015 Warriors in a sense. Before Kevin Durant Warriors, right? Before the Juggernaut Warriors, before the Hampton Five. Go back in time, I would say it's a team that's always done things the right way. Back in the 80s. Again, the Celtics. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
they're so legendary though. So legendary. Maybe the Pacers in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. But in terms of the NBA comparisons, I agree with that. I agree. I agree with what AI is spitting out here. Just AI. If people have better suggestions, it's always fun to ask the internet what they
AI,
think
AI
about all
only
this.
takes ideas from humans, so someone wrote that source and came up with that comparison somewhere.
The 21 Utah Jazz, the 2020, no, the 2022 Suns were the 64 win Suns team. Like that 22 Suns team always gets looked past because of that game 7 versus Dallas. Like, nah, that team was a flop in the end. But man, were they a good team for 64 of their wins throughout the regular season in what that was 2021, 22. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
it felt like the Celtics. Like, it felt like the Celtics, like, that year to make the finals, that they played the Suns, who knows? But ultimately, we do have a final coming our way on Sunday, the World Cup final between Argentina and Spain. This one of the more highly anticipated finals we've ever had at the World Cup. Star-studded affair, and one that you are not going to want to miss. Just like all of the rest of our content here on the Forever Green Sports YouTube channel. And outside of the YouTube channel, do not forget to hit up our Instagram at Forever Green Sports, and of course our two Instagrams as well, at Nick Franco Media. Oops, pointed on the wrong side of the screen here. Over
We'll get
here
it
to the
after 4 years. We'll
left,
get it
to
right.
the right, to the right. Somehow, see, you're to the left of me over here, to the right of me over
Yeah.
here. It's just, it doesn't matter how much time goes on. We'll never figure it out, folks. But what you can figure out is how to find my Instagram page at Celtics.everyday on Instagram. Do not forget to go check out that page as well. My page still covering the Celtics in what is now the most dead time of year for basketball as we fade off of the World Cup as well as Summer League and
We're
some of the
we're
most
entering the graveyard
fun
shift
moments
of
of summer.
sports right now. Once this weekend's over, get ready to talk some baseball.
Here comes the baseball slate, folks. Get ready for baseball. Woof. I hope y'all are ready. Just like I am right now.
Sure.
Totally. I'm so
Yeah,
ready to talk about
probably.
baseball for the next month. Yeah, NFL
We'll come
preseason. I,
up with
I
it.
saw I
Yeah.
saw somebody on Twitter had there are only 2 more Thursdays without college or NFL football, and I went, how,
We'll
how,
take
how did
it.
we make it? I don't know how we made it this far. Like we 2 more Thursdays. Like how is this possible? Thursday has been like the off season, like just frolicking in the wind. Now it's, hey man, there's gonna be Thursday night football every week coming up. 2 Thursdays from now, apparently.
I guess so. We'll get a preview out on that, but
That's what I'm saying. But before that, we'll talk a little bit about baseball for you folks. But that will,
baseball,
of course,
football, everything.
everything, and that'll, of course, be on the at Forever Green Sports Instagram and YouTube. Do not forget to like, subscribe, follow, comment, do all of the great things that involve clicks on the internet with our pages. But that is going to do it for us here today, folks. The World Cup final on its way Sunday. We're amped. I'm so excited, Franco. I'm so excited. Cannot wait for this one. But that is it for us here today for the preview. Of course, I'm your host, Seamus Zarlingo, alongside of me, Nick Franco. And as we always say, thank you all for watching. Go Forever Green and
Don't be gone forever.
ciao.